Hey everybody, it's Mike Frieder here with On-Call Compliance Solutions, and I'm back with another compliance tip of the week. Today we're going to expand a bit on the whole newly released draft CMMC Assessment Process, or CAP, or CMAC, or SMAC, or whatever they want to call it. Anyway, CMMC, AP, LMNOP, who knows? Anyway, so let me start with a few items we know now. Cyber AB believes you have 80% of the controls included in NIST SP 800-171 is good enough for you to be considered compliant and secure, or that you will at least grant you the certification that means such. So that's a good point to kind of understand if we're just sort of catching up. That means you only need to have in place 88 of the 110 controls in NIST SP 800-171. Look, in my point of view, I think that's a little bit questionable because we all think 100% is difficult to obtain. I don't disagree, but aren't we just a little bit tired of, getting hacked? Like if I left my door open, but only like a small crack, and, some bad guy could like get in there because there's, some security that's not there, like the alarm's not set. But the door was mostly closed and there were definitely four walls around me. Like that's secure, right? Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Ultimately, I don't know about all of this, but again, obviously the whole goal is to get more and more people certified and kind of bring more attention to this. So basically, maybe allowing one control to have a limited deficiency, consideration is a whole lot more acceptable to keep CUI secure. I don't know. You tell me what you think in the comments, right? But my biggest thing is, I'm not trying to be sort of a little bit hardcore about it, but one way or another, they're basically saying, hey, look, you can be certified if you're meeting 80%. In my opinion, I think, 80% secure is a little bit questionable, but obviously they got to get people through the program. So let us know what you think. Love to hear that. Ultimately, Cyber AB believes 15 of the controls in NIST 800-171 are so important that a C3PAO needs to actually literally observe the control in person and be on premise, which means they're going to have to get on an airplane. You're going to have to pay for that. And they're going to have to probably eat, and you're probably going to have to pay for that. And then they're going to have to get a hotel, and you're going to have to pay for that. And then a rental car, and you're going to have to pay for that. And it's going to be expensive because they got to come see you in person. So, but what I find even more interesting is, so the other 95 controls, they can be overlooked. I don't know, at least on site. Some mixed messaging going on here. So, look, I think they'll get it figured out, but in any event, it is very, very interesting. The Cyber AB is telling us that 52 of the controls contained in NIST 800-171 qualify for some kind of limited deficiency consideration for compliance and security. So why do we need those controls then, right? I mean, hey, 52 can just kind of hang out and not really be quite so met. Then why don't we just have a standard that's got 55 or something like that controls? I don't know. So I'll tell you why in a little bit. Here's moving on. On the other side of that coin, the Cyber AB believes that there are 58 of the 110 controls that you simply must have met in order to pass an assessment. I don't know why we don't just have 58 controls if the other ones aren't that important, but hey, whatever. So yeah, what I said just earlier, why do we need the others if these are so important and the others are just kind of sort of might be important? And it's interesting, if you look back at the NIST SP 800-171 assessment guide, you get different point values, but then in the same paragraph, they tell you that everything is equal and that no piece of security is different, or less important than another. So a little bit of a contradiction there. I don't know. But for fun, let's go dive even deeper into the assessment process as set out by the Cyber AB in the CAP draft document. CAP draft. Let me stress, this is a draft document. So yes, it's really important to stress that point because it appears the consensus is this draft will be changing, but it certainly shows intent. And I hope it does change because there's some typos in there. And the paragraphs don't really look like they joined together. And maybe they were developed by different teams and we should maybe smooth that out. But hey, at least we kind of sort of might know what they're thinking. And listen, I love the Cyber AB. I think it's a great organization, but I do also like to have fun, so that's part of why we're here, right? So let me do it again and give you the standard disclaimer. This is all in draft form right now. Probably won't even be looking like this in a year, but we're bringing this information as it's released, and it's their fault for releasing it. But it's subject to change, like a change in the wind's direction or the whims of the DoD, which tend to change quite often. So let's talk about it. So if all you knew about DFAR's NIST SP 800-171 and CMMC certification was the information in the draft CAP, I feel like you would be very confused. Very confused. like maybe needing some therapy level of confused. It's okay. So even if you're a cybersecurity professional, right? Let me start by picking this apart a little bit more and show you how a CMMC certified system should be built. And maybe that's the easiest way to understand this. So, hey, it's what we do anyway. It's what we do the best. And I do want to help you. I don't want to just like make a video about how confusing things are, because we know it's in draft and it's not perfect. And who knows what'll happen 6 months from now. But they put it out, so I looked at it. So the first thing you need is a plan, a system security plan, or an SSP. Without an SSP, there's no foundation to build upon in NIST SP 800-171, and it all collapses right there if you don't have one. So yes, you have to have one. I think that's pretty obvious, because otherwise what would they assess? So let's be clear here. If you want to eliminate the SSP, then you want those 52 controls. Cyber AB is listed as limited deficiency correction consideration have less importance. Those controls are not less important though. Those controls are building blocks, but the CAP, or SMAC, tells us those controls have limited or indirect effect on the security of the network and its data. So basically, 13 of the 22 controls listed in Control Family 3.1 concerning access control are now throwaways. No, I don't think that's really quite what that means. It's why it got listed as the first control family, because it's like the first most important thing. Separate the duties of individuals to reduce the risk of malevolent activity without collusion. I don't know. Seems like a pretty good idea to have a control in place that could thwart bad actors from teaming up. Otherwise, why would the DoD make mandatory insider threat training? So again, I can go and roll on and on throughout these controls. Look, the bottom line is I think they're kind of all important. I think certainly as you're doing this plan, you should just do it right. But it is pretty cool. They're going to give you some leeway to be able to pass. So look, there's 58 controls that are seemingly so much more important. It's a head scratcher for me because I don't know. Like I said earlier, it's like closing the door and not alarming the window to your daughter's bedroom late at night when there's going to be a date night later. I don't know. It's a little bit of a stretch. Maybe not so secure. Maybe doesn't really give us that much peace of mind. So anyway, now that we have 110 controls that need to be in place, what do we do next? Obviously, you need to have any deficiencies along with how you will remediate them or solve those problems written in a plan to demonstrate you actually know how to solve the problem and have a plan. So we have to write it down. Enter the POAM, or plan of action with milestones, which will show us how we're going to fix it. So POAMs are super important. As my good friends in the Marines say, the worst time to plan for what to do about bullets flying at your head, well, is when they're flying at your head. You need a plan ahead of time for how to fortify your defenses and get into that firefight. Okay, so again, the plan of action milestones is how you're going to fix any of your deficiencies and make sure that you've got a path forward. Now, with that in mind, next we have your policies. Not all compliance controls can be solved with IT stuff and settings. No, to properly solve for these controls, sometimes you need personnel policies to dictate what team members are and are not allowed to do. And this is a big critical piece of this compliance and getting CMMC certified. As my good friend Forrest Gump would say, stupid is as stupid does, so we need some policies to prevent stupid from doing stupid things. So it takes both a technical and people level effort, and it can't be done without that. So this is not just an IT problem. It is in fact a cultural problem and an HR problem, maybe even a legal problem. But don't worry, IT guys, I'll drag them into the fight as well. So again, we've got to have some policies and training in place. Once you have your policies created, your people trained on them, and your documents set, it's time to focus in on the physical security requirements. Of course, these also get documented in your system security plan, but we break them out here in explanation because, again, physical security is not an IT area of expertise typically. Although more and more physical premise systems are getting tied into the network, and that makes the line even more blurry. So next, you need to have the entire network properly documented, including lists of hardware, software, systems, network diagrams, and everything else required to be compliant, ready to go. Got to have it. If you get attacked, you will need this information to know what you used to have and be able to hopefully rebuild it quickly. Once all of the local stuff is done, it's time to focus attention on the cloud solutions you use and whether they are compliant. I won't go deeply into this because cloud solutions have their own set of requirements in DFAR 7010, and that conversation is more of a consultative case-by-case basis. Again, our teams are always here on call for you, right? That's what we do. But I will say that not just any cloud solution will do, and any defense-related data is required by DFARS to be held in the United States. And those service providers are required to subject themselves to the reporting requirements for cyber incidents in DFAR 7012. So look, believe me, very few cloud providers are willing to go through this. All right, think Apple, Google, don't do it. Don't put your data there. I can tell you Apple won't. I can tell you Google won't. It's in their end user license agreement. And I can tell you that even Microsoft and Amazon built entirely separate data centers specifically where that's okay. So final thoughts is that many of our clients, after learning about the cloud requirements, decide to wind up opting to go with Microsoft method, which is to go and move to Office 365 GCC High. If you like to learn more about that, you can visit our site, our informational website located at gcchighmigration.com, where you can discover more about making the move to the system, which is specifically designed to help people who handle defense-related data while not giving up the creature comforts of Office 365, which I think is probably the more important thing, right? Here's a hint. We're one of the world's largest GCC High integrators, and since we don't directly sell the licenses and instead partner with companies who do, we are price and licensing partner agnostic. Hoorah, that is awesome. So, which means we can help you with licensing options that others don't want to tell you about, like the cheaper options. And yes, there are cheaper options. And again, we can help you make the move much easier. And hey, it's kind of what we do here at On Call, is making life easy. So final steps, let's go get certified and win more business. So when it comes to getting certified, there are going to be 2 steps. We typically match up clients to the right assessor from our network. And the first step is pre-assessment, getting the actual assessor to tell you where you're about to fail. It's critical because the real deal assessment you need to pass. So make sure you get a pre-assessment. Finally, have the real assessment, hopefully knowing in advance you're going to pass, from your CMMC assessor or a Star Wars robot, right? Our friends the C3POs, boom, that's who I'm talking about. Bring it in from another galaxy. We'll take the results and file them with the Cyber AB for approval. Final rubber stamping of success, and then you get your nice, shiny certificate, and you can probably post on your website that you're certified. Awesome, and go out and win those bigger contracts. We're all about that. We want to see you guys win. So, boom, that's how it's done. Hopefully, we've made your head spin a little bit less than the CMMC AB or CAP, or maybe the SMAC, or maybe you just feel like you got smacked by the CAP. I don't know. Whatever, and at least your roadmap to success is maybe a little bit more clear, because at the end of the day, you know, all they're really trying to do is make sure that you're going to be safe and secure and that your company's going to be stable and around to do business with tomorrow. And we think that's pretty important too. And you know what? Hey, it's a draft document. It's got a couple of rough edges, but we also generally think, you know, I think there's some good directions. I think there's some bad directions, but I think overall these guys are working it. They're trying to make it sort of work for everybody, and I applaud their efforts. I really do. I make a lot of jokes about it, but in all seriousness, I know it's a lot of work, and there's some really important stuff on the line here. So, hey, if you are trying to get compliant with DFARS, NIST SP 800-171, or CMMC on your own and looking for help, our compliance experts are always on call for you. Visit NIST800-171compliance.com or check out the bio below for links to make it easy, because trying to put that in the URL bar is complicated, and you can just go click below in the description. So there you can find more information about how we can help self-schedule time at your convenience with one of our compliance experts through any form on the website, or learn more about our completely done-for-you services that can have you on your way to being compliant in just 2 to 3 days. Really, just 2 to 3 days, not 6 to 18 months, like 2 to 3 days. If you love the content we're putting out here for you, help us out with a big thumbs up on that like button, or even better, smash the subscribe button to get the latest compliance content as soon as our compliance nerds roll it out. It's a great way to stay prepared for that upcoming CMMC certification. Everybody's going to have to eventually get through it. Until the next compliance tip, my friends, stay safe and secure out there, and hit us in the comments below to let us know what you'd like to know more about when it comes to information security and compliance. Hey, I'll see you on the next one.